from 8 mics per kilo per minute to 10, just for maps about in the 50s. I think I've been going off my arterial line. I have a nice waveform. I've been re-zeroing it, and I have had maps since this morning above 60, and actually they kind of keep going up. So I just recently went down from 10 back to 8. So we're at 8 mics per kilo per minute, and I think we could probably go down based on, I'm trying to not really look at the cuff, which isn't bad. The last was 101/40/55, but his perfusion's really good. So anyway, we're at 8. I think we could maybe maneuver a little bit more with that, but we'll leave
Yeah, I
that
would
to
try
you.
to come down to 5 in the next couple of hours.
Okay.
See how we do there.
Cool.
You might not need the dopamine anymore, which would be really nice. I mean,
Yeah.
right now his resting heart rate is 85, which we haven't seen.
Yeah, actually, now
So
that
that's pretty fantastic.
when I said it, like
With a good
100,
blood pressure.
that's the lowest I've seen.
And no oxygen requirement. His lactate at 10 was great, so I think we can hopefully work off of the dopamine today.
Cool. We're remaining on a little bit of contractility support with the milrinone, so we're at 0.5 mics per kilo per minute on that. That just is a set rate. Let's see, I think with cardiac, that's about all I've got for you there. Respiratory, so he's nice and clear, diminished in the bases, kind of shallowish breathing, but his respiratory rate has been mainly mid-20s. Looking very comfortable right now. He's breathing 20, so just like slightly tachypnic, but not even any now. I had him when he got up, waited. He actually sat at the edge of the bed for what, maybe 5 minutes, not even. We had him sit for a little bit, and he just gets really sleepy. So went back before he went lights out. He did the IS for me 3 times.
Great.
He does a nice steady inhale, but the max we got 2 at 500 and 1 at 750 mils. So it's not like a whopping, but he's trying. He doesn't love it. So we did do that. He did have a chest X-ray this morning. I did not peek at that result.
Yeah, the heart size looks good. There's still a little bit of pleural effusions on both sides that we're working on with the Lasix.
Cool.
But no big drastic changes.
And he did have the 20 milligram Lasix one-time order this morning, and he just voided like 800.
Okay.
So that's good. His oxygen has been greater than 92%. He was on 4 liters this morning. We went down to 3 and then 2. The cannula was just really bothering him, so I was like, well, let's just see how you do without it on. And he's been fine. When he was sitting on the edge of the bed, he got really sleepy and did like kind of hunch. He was 89 for like a second, but when he's in a good position, like right now, he's 95%. So I think we're gonna hopefully win the day without having oxygen. I'm just sort of watching his respiratory rate as well, and even if we'll just decide, I told him he may have to go back on it, but so far so good with that.
Okay.
So from a GI perspective, he's been NPO. We did just let him have some, because I know we kind of talked about it, I just let him have a few, his mouth is so dry, so a few sips of water, kind of big sips, and he's done fine with that. He hasn't complained of any nausea or vomiting this morning. He is hungry, as it said to me, but I think
he's starving. He keeps telling me that someone stole his wallet and he needs to go get some food.
Yeah, and his mouth is very dry. His tongue has that kind of ruddy appearance as well. We did some oral care this morning, but I think he'll probably be ready to have even more than just some sips of water.
Yeah, I think we answered the clears today.
Cool. GU, I have not calculated my fluid balance yet this morning. I know overnight I was told 1.5 mils per kilo per hour was his urine hour output, which is good. And after that Lasix dose, I think we're doing okay. We're doing a total of IV fluids, a total of 100 an hour, which we're doing with our drips. And he's on D5 normal, I think, with 20 of K for his fluid. So that's where we're there. Skin wise, we've got no breakdown anywhere. He moves himself fairly well in bed. He does have that kind of diffuse rash around his ankles. I haven't actually gotten to appreciate it on his chest or his back.
The chest was pretty much gone. The back is still very much there, but it always just looks red and hot from the sheets.
From laying there,
yeah, so when he sits up to use the restroom, you can see it really easily.
Okay.
When did you think that rash finished going away on his front?
It seemed like they really started saying, I mean, the days are all running together for me, but it seems like they started saying it was looking really good, maybe early yesterday.
I was gonna say yesterday afternoon.
So for Medication wise, like I said, the IVIG was completed yesterday. We're continuing on, for antibiotics, we're on Zosyn. For anticoagulation, we're on aspirin and Lovenox. I think that's it. We're on Pepcid prophylactically, methylprednisolone for steroids, the anakinra, once daily injection.
That'll be twice, actually.
Oh, it's twice a day?
Okay, so two.
Okay.
But you would have given it 6, so you're only.
So I've just got it, yeah, the one time. He did receive, so I'll kind of jump into labs and electrolytes. Overnight, he did receive a MEG replacement one time. His MEG was 1.8, it's now 2, so that's super. Otherwise, didn't receive any other electrolyte replacements. Everything on his chemistry looked pretty good besides the MEG. His sodium was a little low, 132, and I know we adjusted some of his drips so they're in a sodium chloride infusion.
It's in straight D5.
Yeah. CBC, the white count was 16.1, and I think it was like 8 yesterday. And there are some bands and neutrophils on that. H&H is stable, 11.7 over 33. Our cardiac enzymes are still quite high, but I think a little bit lower than previous. So those are still kind of a player. Lactic acid was good. Did you say it was 1.5?
It was 1.2, and then it was, I think, 1.6, so.
Okay. And I did an ABG, it was perfect, this morning as well. I don't think that there's really anything too exciting.
The most recent troponin was basically 4,400.
Yeah, so and it's down, now it was 5,500, yeah. And I think that, I think that was all the new stuff.
Yeah, so in talking with cardiology, we can back off on those labs even more now that we've kind of peaked and have 2 that are on the way down. So we'll probably just get it 3 times a day instead of, I think yesterday we got it 6 times. So.
Yeah, I think I'm doing 4 for labs again.
I'll readjust all of that.
Okay.
And then the BNP, even though it's steadily marching up this morning, they were pretty happy with the numbers. So we'll probably just check 1 this evening and then again in the morning. We don't have to check on them more than twice a day. And then when I talked to cardiology, they were fine with, they only wanted to get an echo today if things were worsening. But I think with him being able to come down on the dopamine, his blood pressure and his heart rate look fantastic right now. So I think we're probably pretty good to just wait until tomorrow. The echoes, even though they're comforting for us to see, because it takes a little bit of time for the heart to remodel after the inflammation period, we don't really see changes quickly enough, for the improvement part to really warrant getting them on a daily basis. So as long as things are looking better with him, they wanted us to wait and get an echo tomorrow. So that's good
Okay.
news. We'll continue doing the Lasix like we talked about, with the goal of just helping get rid of all that extra fluid that's accumulated in his lungs. And the fact that he was able to go from 4 liters to off of oxygen this morning with good saturations and no changes in his respiratory rate is also pretty fantastic. So I think he's really starting to turn the corner for us in that regard. All of our numbers continue to look better. Just that 1 BNP number, which reflects your fluid status and your heart's ability to kind of pump everything around because of how much fluid you have. That number is still a little bit elevated, but not elevated to the point where we need to really be concerned about it.
Okay.
Hey, sorry, there's a whole bunch, it's always awkward to wake up and a whole bunch of people are in here staring at you. I heard you had a good nap for a few hours.
Yeah.
That's good. I heard you got up to the side of the side of the bed too. Did that feel okay?
Yeah.
Did you feel lightheaded at all when you were on the side of the bed?
No.
Not at all, okay. We'll probably try to do that again later today. If you're feeling really good, then we can try to get you up to a chair. Changing positions is really good for your lungs. Just with laying in bed for long periods of time, all of the dependent part of the lungs in the back, those tend to collapse. And then when you have the fluid that gets in around the lungs, that helps the lungs collapse. So doing the incentive spirometer, changing positions, even if it is just in bed, that will help with making sure all those little lung sacs can stay nice and open and healthy, because he would be at risk for a secondary pneumonia just from having all the lung sacs collapse. So that's why we're pretty aggressive with that incentive spirometer. The steroids and the anakinra will continue. The high dose aspirin we continue for at least 48 hours after the last fever. So we're looking at probably tomorrow with changing that dose. You stay on aspirin for a period of time afterwards. It's just not the big, huge dose of aspirin. So that's something that could potentially change tomorrow. Today, I think we'll just try to have a nice, restful day. I would like to, for a good at least solid 4-hour period today, turn all the lights on, make it loud in here, have him play some games, watch a movie, do something ordinary. Sometimes we even have schoolwork brought in just to have some return of normalcy so that we can help him reset his circadian cycle. It's great to let him rest today. If we let him sleep all day, then we'll probably perpetuate the cycle of being asleep in the day, awake at night, and that can continue to add to the delirium. So I'd like for him to get some rest today, but at the same time I know it's going to be better for him in the long run if we do kind of tire him out today, if you will, so that tonight he can really get a good night's rest.
Okay.
Has he ever used melatonin or anything like that for a sleep aid? Sometimes that can be helpful. There's just not a lot of great medications that help with reestablishing a sleep cycle, especially in teenagers in the ICU. So we actually try to avoid giving medication. The time that we step in and do give a medication, it's when the